my feeling of sacred music in general came from very early age, way before I composed or even played an instrument. With the simple fact that still in Russia, where I actually lived up until age 7, my parents took me to a concert of classical music in the Leningrad Philharmonia, and also in the organ concert series in the cathedrals of St. Petersburg. There were many concert series there, and they took me when I was, I don't know, 4, 5, 6, 7, and in retrospect, I think that that left a tremendous impact on my feeling of music in general, classical music in general, and sacred music in particular. I was told that half of the concert I was listening very attentively, and the second half I was sleeping very thoroughly. That tradition of them taking me to serious music, very serious music, continued through when we arrived to Israel. We settled in Israel, and even way before I touched any key of an instrument, which actually happened when I was only 12, when I first time touched the key of piano. It happened that I like to listen to the heavy classical music, from symphonies of Beethoven, Bruckner, late string quartets of Beethoven or Schubert, and of course the great sacred pieces by Bach, by Mozart, even Verdi, along with such pieces as Missa Papai Marcelli by Palestrina. And I realize now that even at the age of 9 or 10, it captivated me dramatically. I don't know why, because I would just listen to it from LPs at home. At home, I would just put an LP and just sit and listen for half of the St. Matthew Passion without break. It moved me dramatically, and I think already then I was able to distinguish this music from, let's say, ABBA or Bee Gees or Queen, which I also liked very much. But I felt that difference between music that is of high intensity, soul-reaching, elevating music versus entertaining music. It was clearly not the same thing for me. And so that, I think, was way more important for me than the first lessons that I took in playing, in playing an instrument. I think that is in somewhat it's different from the traditional way of children taking lessons from the age of 6 or 7, first learning to play the instrument and gradually, attending concerts and etc. For me, it was the opposite. And I think everything was actually started from there, and from that, capturing the essence of the really greatest pieces of music. I felt that as far as sacred music, of course, I didn't delve into text. I didn't know what was really about. I didn't read the text at the age of 10 or 11, but I was captured with the intensity of it, with the depth of it, and with always feeling that it lifted me a little bit beyond where I am in reality. And this principle still guides me, of course, today in composing. I would also mention, since this talk precedes the concept of organ and organ music or organ vocal music, that my early impressions from organ was from music of Bach. Of course, we had several LPs with the music of Bach, and I should say that even though this is an instrumental music, but it always connected within me with some sacred idioms, which brings me to think that I can't really define where the sacred idiom of sacred music begins. How we describe what is sacred music in general? Is that only music that is written with sacred text, with liturgical text, or is it, or does it also include general poetical text with some reference of, with some moments of sublimation or spiritual feeling to it, or maybe a sense of sacredness can be present even in just instrumental music. Where's the distinction? Where the sense of sacredness in music begins? So this was one aspect of, yes, for me, of connecting with the specifically Christian music. But I would have to say, since I mentioned that I'm from the Jewish house, of course, in Israel, I also attended, still attend, whatever, have the synagogue in usually services of the high holidays, Rosh Hashanah, the New Year, Jewish New Year, and especially the Yom Kippur, or the Day of Atonement, where I always have the chance, I often have the chance to hear great cantors in the centuries tradition, Jewish tradition. The cantor is the leader of the service. He represents the congregation, and singing of the cantor, or chazan in Hebrew, has it has a certain style in it, with very, very expressive. Historically, it preceded the Christian music, Christian liturgical music. There are some associations with the priest that leads the congregation. Yeah, things were linked very much at the early times, when in the transition from or the beginnings of Christianity, put this way. So for me, these are two worlds that are, on the one hand, they're separate in many ways, but on the other hand, they're linked in many ways. To make the link even more fascinating, I found that the cantor's singing, which is partially recitation, partially high dramatic singing, is quite close to the opera world, the world of drama. And which opera is standing between, or we call between, different sacred genres, but it's of course it's a genre in itself, but still as a matter of, so there's also theatrical elements here, scenic elements here, so things start coming closer for me. On top of all of this, I always found interest, and actually much fascination, with music, sacred music, with composers that wrote sacred music that brings human sentiment and drama to sacred genres, such as Mozart or Verdi, which is different from, say, music of the High Renaissance, or Missa by Marcelli, or certainly different from the Gregorian chants. I think I will probably say something about, maybe later, just a bit later, about aspects of styles, but let me maybe give one example of my writing in the Jewish tradition. And before we hear that segment, I will just say this. I'm not looking for imitation of any style or specific style, and not imitation or kind of renovation of reminiscence or citation of any given style, but rather I'd like to feel to express something personal through the tools of this tradition, through the possibilities of the music, with touching upon that tradition. So maybe we'll just hear that segment from a piece, a prayer that one of the most important Jewish prayers. The text is the Untenet Tokef.
Kitso